We are, of course, in Genesis chapter 48.
Estamos en Génesis capítulo 48.
In this chapter, we see Joseph is sick. He will soon die, Genesis chapter 49. Joseph, hearing that his father is sick, goes with his sons to see Jacob. And by the way, it's Jacob that is sick, not Joseph. Jacob is sick, and he will soon die, Genesis 49. Joseph, hearing that his father is sick, goes with his sons to see Jacob. Jacob blesses Joseph and gives him a double portion. Jacob.
En este capítulo vemos que Jacob está enfermo, pronto morirá. Génesis capítulo 49. José al enterarse de que su padre está enfermo va con sus hijos a ver a Jacob. Jacob bendice a José y le da una doble porción.
Genesis chapter 48 verses 1 through 7.
Génesis capítulo 48 verso 1 al 7.
And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob, and said, Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself, and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give the land, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine, as Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And thy issue which thou begettest after them shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Paddan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, which yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath, the same is Bethlehem.
Génesis capítulo 48, verso 1 al 7. Sucedió después de estas cosas que dijeron a José, He aquí tu padre está enfermo. Y él tomó consigo a sus dos hijos, Manasés y Efraín, y se le hizo saber a Jacob, diciendo, He aquí tu hijo José viene a ti. Entonces se esforzó Israel y se sentó sobre la cama. Y dijo José, el Dios omnipotente me apareció en luz en la tierra de Canaán y me bendijo. Y me dijo, he aquí yo te haré crecer y te multiplicaré y te pondré por estirpe de naciones y daré esta tierra a tu descendencia después de ti por heredad perpetua. Y ahora tus dos hijos, Efraín y Manasés, que te nacieron en la tierra de Egipto, antes que viniese a ti a la tierra de Egipto, míos son, como Rubén y Simeón serán míos, y los que después de ellos hacen.
Jacob is sick.
Jacob está enfermo.
This is 17 years after they came into Egypt, Genesis chapter 47 and verse 27.
Esto es 17 años después de que llegaron a Egipto. Génesis capítulo 47, verso 27.
And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein. And I don't think that's what I was looking for.
Chapter 47, verse 26, 27.
27 and 28 we'll read. Had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. Verse 28, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so the whole age of Jacob was 147 years.
Génesis capítulo 47, versículos 27 y 28. Así habitó Israel en la tierra de Egipto, en la tierra de Gosén, y tomaron posesión de ella, y se aumentaron y se multiplicaron en gran manera. Y vivió Jacob en la tierra de Egipto 17 años, y fueron los días de Jacob, los años de su vida, 147 años.
Jacob takes his 2 sons to go see his father.
José lleva a sus 2 hijos a ver a su padre.
In verse 3, Jacob repeats to Joseph that God had promised Jacob to make him a great nation.
En el versículo 3, Jacob le repite a José que Dios le había prometido a Jacob hacer de él una gran nación.
He adopts Joseph's 2 sons as his own as far as the inheritance is concerned.
Adopta a los 2 hijos de José como propios en lo que respecta a la herencia.
This gives Joseph a double portion.
Esto le da a José una doble porción.
Who is supposed to receive the double portion?
¿Quién debe recibir la doble porción?
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 15 through 17.
Deuteronomio capítulo 21, verso 15 al 17.
Deuteronomy 21, verses 15 through 17.
Deuteronomio capítulo 21, verso 15 al 17.
If a man have 2 sons, one beloved, if a man have 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his.
Si un hombre tuviere 2 mujeres, la una amada y la otra aborrecida, y la amada y la aborrecida le hubieren dado hijos, y el hijo primogénito fuere de la aborrecida, en el día que hiciere heredar a sus hijos los que tuvieran, no podrá dar el derecho de primogenitura al hijo de la amada con preferencia al hijo de la aborrecida, que es el primogénito, mas al hijo de la aborrecida reconocerá como primogénito para darle el doble de lo que correspondiere a cada uno de los demás, porque él es el principio de su vigor y suyo es el derecho de la primogenitura.
So who is supposed to receive the double portion?
¿Quién debe recibir la doble porción?
Deuteronomy 21, 15 through 17. Reuben.
Rubén.
Of course, they are not under the old law.
Por supuesto, no están sujetos a la ley antigua.
What law or system are they under?
¿Bajo qué ley o sistema se encuentran?
Patriarchal.
Patriarcal.
Genesis chapter 48, verses 8 through 22.
Génesis capítulo 48, verso 8 al 22.
And we'll do like we did last week, where we'll kind of break it up, brother. Read it. Genesis 48.
Vamos a leer por partes.
Verses 8 through 22.
Capítulo 48, verso 8 al 22.
And Israel beheld Joseph's sons, and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, whom God hath given me. in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see, and he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. Verse 11. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath showed me also thy seed.
Vamos a leer del 8 al 11. Y vio Israel los hijos de José y dijo, ¿quiénes son estos? Y respondió José a su padre, son mis hijos que Dios me ha dado aquí. Y él dijo, acércalos ahora a mí y los bendeciré. Y los ojos de Israel estaban tan agravados por la vejez que no podía ver. Les hizo pues acercarse a él, y él les besó y les abrazó. Y dijo Israel a José, no pensaba yo ver tu rostro, y he aquí Dios me ha hecho ver también a tu descendencia.
Continuing in verse 12, and Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. Verse 14, and Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn.
Vamos a continuar el verso 12 al 14. Entonces José los sacó de entre sus rodillas y se inclinó a tierra, y los tomó José a ambos, Efraín a su derecha, a la izquierda de Israel, y Manasés a su izquierda, a la derecha de Israel, y los acercó a él. Entonces Israel extendió su mano derecha y la puso sobre la cabeza de Efraín, que era el menor, y su mano izquierda sobre la cabeza de Manasés, colocando así sus manos adrede, aunque Manasés era el primogénito.
Continuing with 15, and he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn, but put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused, and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Verse 22, Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite, with my sword and with my bow.
Vamos a continuar el verso 15 al 22. Y bendijo José diciendo, el Dios en cuya presencia anduvieron mis padres Abraham e Isaac, el Dios que me mantiene desde que yo soy hasta este día, el ángel que me liberta de todo mal, bendiga a estos jóvenes y sea perpetuado en ellos mi nombre y el nombre de mis padres Abraham e Isaac, y multiplíquense en gran manera en medio de la tierra. Pero viendo José que su padre ponía la mano derecha sobre la cabeza de Efraín, le causó esto disgusto y asió la mano de su padre para cambiarla de la cabeza de Efraín a la cabeza de Manasés. Y dijo José a su padre, no así, padre mío, porque este es el primogénito, pon tu mano derecha sobre su cabeza. Mas su padre no quiso y dijo, lo sé, hijo mío, lo sé. También él vendrá a ser un pueblo y será también engrandecido, pero su hermano menor será más grande que él, y su descendencia formará multitud de naciones. Y los bendijo aquel día diciendo, en ti bendecirá Israel, diciendo, hágate Dios como a Efraín y como a Manasés. Y puso a Efraín antes de Manasés. Y dijo Israel a José, he aquí yo muero, pero Dios estará con vosotros y os hará volver a la tierra de vuestros padres. Y yo te he dado a ti una parte más que a tus hermanos, la cual tomé yo de mano del amorreo con mi espada y con mi arco.
Jacob asked Joseph who the two with him are.
Jacob le pregunta a José quiénes son los dos que están con él.
Is this a contradiction or a problem?
¿Es esto una contradicción o un problema?
In verse 5, Jacob speaks of Ephraim and Manasseh. Now he is asking who they are. Verse 8.
En el versículo 5, Jacob habla de Efraín y Manasés. Ahora pregunta quiénes son. Verso 8.
This is not a contradiction, nor is it a problem to understand this situation.
Esto no es una contradicción ni un problema para entender esta situación.
In verse 10, we see that Jacob's eyesight is poor. He could see that someone was with Jacob, but could not see who they were.
En el versículo 10 vemos que la vista de Jacob es mala. Pudo ver que alguien estaba con Jacob, pero no podía ver quiénes eran.
Jacob says, bring them close to me and I will bless them.
Jacob dice, acérquenlos a mí y los bendeciré.
Joseph places Manasseh next to Jacob's right hand and Ephraim next to his left. This is due to their birthright.
José coloca a Manasés al lado de la mano derecha de Jacob y a Efraín al lado de su izquierda. Esto se debe a su derecho de nacimiento.
I didn't put this on there, but right hand is the power.
La mano derecha era el más poderoso, el más fuerte.
Jacob crosses his hands like so, placing his right hand on Ephraim and his left hand on Manasseh.
Jacob cruza sus manos así colocando su mano derecha sobre Efraín y su mano izquierda sobre Manasés.
Doing so is placing Ephraim, the younger, above Manasseh, the older.
Hacerlo es colocar a Efraín, el más joven, por encima de Manasés, el mayor.
This upsets Joseph.
Esto molesta a José.
Jacob explains to him that he is aware of what he is doing and that Ephraim will be the greater.
Jacob le explica que es consciente de lo que hace y que Efraín será el mayor.
The tribe of Ephraim is the greater of the two.
La tribu de Efraín es la mayor de las dos.
Jacob speaks of the nation of Israel's departing from Egypt and returning to the land that has been promised to them.
Jacob habla de la salida de la nación de Israel de Egipto y el regreso a la tierra que les ha sido prometida.
We know that God fulfilled that promise.
Sabemos que Dios cumplió esa promesa.
Does anyone have any thoughts or questions?
¿Alguien tiene alguna idea o pregunta?
Before anyone does ask any questions, I didn't put it in here, but I've made mention that Ephraim was the greater of the two. What two tribes do you generally see in the Old Testament that were placed above or had more power than the rest of them? Jim, you're probably going to know it right off the bat. So Judah and Ephraim. Those two are the most powerful, Judah and Ephraim. And we see that whenever they split the 10 tribes, northern tribes, who's in charge? Ephraim is the one that's kind of out front. And of course, Judah is basically the southern kingdom. But even when they were together, you see when they were to travel, Ephraim and Judah are placed in positions where they are leading the others. Questions?
I had two comments. One,
Comments?
is it because of Reuben's, I guess, was it Leah's concubine or Rachel's concubine that he went into?
I don't remember which one of them it was, which concubine.
But that was basically the reason.
I don't know. We're never really told. I mean, he always favored Joseph. Um, and of course, then you see their actions, and now Joseph in the position he's in, and all. So I'm not real. It doesn't really explain why he did this. Now,
Providence, maybe, you know.
well, think of it this way: whenever he makes Ephraim and Manasseh, or Manasseh and Ephraim, he makes them two tribes along with the rest of them. How many tribes does that make?
13.
That would make 13, but they're only divided 12. Why?
Levi doesn't get it.
Levi doesn't get in. Well, Levi's inheritance is God.
Yeah.
It is the priesthood. And of course, they get some land in suburbs and stuff, but they don't get an inheritance like the others. And I'm going to jump ahead here for a minute. When he starts blessing in the next chapter, what does he do with Simeon and Levi? You remember?
They're bloody.
He tells them they're a couple of killers, basically bloody. They. But what did he, foretelling their tribes? What did he say?
Scatter them.
He would scatter them and split them up, and that's exactly what he did. He scattered them. Levi, because of the priesthood, and Simeon just kind of got swallowed up by Judah, I think it was.
I think so. That was south of Judah.
Yeah. Hermanos, you understand?
Yeah.
And you said you had another question?
Yeah, just curious, and probably nobody has an answer to that, but I wonder about Dinah. You know, if she married, does she get any kind of inheritance or anything?
We don't ever. Well, she didn't create a tribe. I mean,
No.
but we're never told anything about her after she's raped and defiled, as it says, and
Does she ever marry?
we're not told. I don't think she's ever mentioned after that. I mean, other than I think it does mention that later on when it's listing their children, or after the rape, I think it mentions that he had a daughter. But I don't think we really hear anything about her after basically that event. So you're right, Steve. I don't think anybody can really answer that question as far as what it goes, because we're not told. Anyone else? Jim? Anybody? Okay. Well, then, we'll be in chapter 49 next week, and of course, that means we'll be in chapter 50 the next week. As I mentioned, what we're going to do is when we get through chapter 50, we're going to come back probably at least 1, maybe 2 weeks. I don't really want to, probably not going to really spend a lot of time, but probably spend a couple, 3 weeks, something along those lines, going back and looking at some threads, some points that I think we need to really um, kind of review in this book that we can kind of take a lot of things from and learn some things from. I mean, we've touched on a lot of this already, but I think we really need to hit a couple of spots that'll bring out some thoughts for us.